Y'all, it's your guy Dawson from D&D TV. Thank you for rating, commenting, and subscribing. Everybody who's donated, those of you all who will, you know I appreciate it. Also, go over to my other YouTube channel, Dawson Speak TV. Make sure you subscribe over there. And again, thank you to everyone who's been donating. You all have been showing up and showing out. And trust me, everything goes back into the channel. And I just want to give you all a special shout out. Now, let's get into this story. All right, y'all. Now, this story does come out of my state down here in Florida, South Florida to be exact, in Miami. Now, this story is public information. The news people are talking about it as well as you can Google it. The Daily Mail has talked about it as well. And it's these two officers Roderick Flowers and Keith Edwards, who are friends. They were obsessed with the Bad Boys movie, but now they find themselves on the other side of the law. They are in trouble for making some bad decisions, and those decisions were to be involved in criminal activity. Let me explain. Miami-Dade officers Roderick Flowers and Keith Edwards are among 5 people facing federal charges. A criminal complaint said that the officers acted as protection for an undercover drug trafficking operation. On their social media accounts, officers Flowers and Edwards are seen posing as Will Smith and Martin Lawrence from the hit movie Bad Boys. The two Miami-Dade police officers who compared themselves to the buddy cops in the movie Bad Boys have found themselves on the wrong side of the law, accused of acting as protection for an undercover drug trafficking operation, according to the criminal complaint. Officers Roderick Flowers and Keith Edwards are among 5 people facing federal charges following a 6-month investigation by the Drug Enforcement Administration. Now, I know some of you all don't believe me when I report this stuff, so I'm going to sit back and relax for a minute and let the news people tell you this story. And you know me, I'll be back with the rest of my commentary. I'm Dawson, and I won't hold back.
Well, they compared themselves to a famous crime-fighting duo, but now 2 cops are under arrest, accused of betraying the badge. The night team Sheldon Fox is live outside the federal courthouse in downtown Miami with this. Sheldon.
They compared themselves, Belkis, to Bad Boys, you know, the movie, the famous cop movie that was shot in Miami. But in real life, according to the DEA, what they did was bad, meaning bad, not bad, meaning good. On Instagram, they call themselves Bad Boys, but they're bad cops, according to feds. Alleged criminal policemen paid $5,000 apiece to protect who they thought was a cocaine dealer last month, according to a criminal complaint. They are Miami-Dade police officers Keith Edwards and Rod Flowers. They've been busted by the DEA. The feds allege the pair provided protection during a drug run. The person they were paid to protect was really a DEA source, pretending to be a cartel member. That source is said to have met the cops through a known money launderer out of Davie, who had initially been paying the two. That source quoted by the feds as saying both cops were on his payroll and that he could have the cops ready for anything as they both wanted to make money.
Whenever the government's using confidential sources that clearly have a shady past, I think that there's a risk of either due process or some type of entrapment violations.
That's Edwards' attorney, Frank Prieto, who also says his client tested positive for COVID-19 upon being booked into federal jail. Both Edwards and Flowers were under federal surveillance during a months-long narcotics investigation, in which agents were getting help from that secret source. During a drive to deliver drugs, the officers, according to the affidavit, were immediately in front of and behind the undercover vehicle almost the entire way in order to serve as an escort for the drugs, product being brought from Homestead to Aventura. After the drug dropped, the complaint states the source told the 2 lawmen, "Welcome to the Sinaloa cartel," before they both laughed, entered their vehicles, and left the hotel. Authorities say this was all recorded. Weeks later, both men were arrested and slapped with federal charges. A far cry from their crime-fighting life's work and their online personas based on the movies. Conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute cocaine. Those are the charges facing both men. 3 others also charged and arrested in connection with this alleged crime. We're live in downtown Miami. Sheldon Fox, 7 News and 19.
Wow. All right, y'all. Let's go in. Now, this was a 6-month investigation, and I'm going to try to break it down. Now, according to the criminal complaint, the investigation began in May when a confidential source posing as a member of the Sinaloa cartel began meeting with an alleged South Florida money launderer named Manuel Carlos Hernandez. Remember that name, Manuel Carlos Hernandez. The source said that they were a drug trafficker and money launderer, and they began arranging money laundering deals with Manuel Carlos Hernandez, who operated out of his business in Davie, Florida. At one point, after Manuel Carlos Hernandez, he got comfortable with this source. He told the source that he had a contact in the Miami-Dade Police Department who could help him get information, according to the criminal complaint. So the source, they're working for the FBI. They're going to wait a while. They're not just going to jump on it. So a couple of months later, in August, the source asked Hernandez if his law enforcement contact could identify a license plate belonging to a person who owed the source money. The plate information was provided by Hernandez to the source, and after the source got the information, gave it to the FBI, a review of the record showed that Officer Roderick Flowers had run the plate information. So now the FBI is like, okay, this guy, Carlos Manuel Hernandez, he does have contact within the Miami-Dade police officer list, so let's see where this goes. Let's go further with this. The source told Hernandez that they wanted to use the officers for security protection that was moving money from one location to another, the complaint said. Hernandez asked the source if the officer should be in uniform or work off duty, and the source told him they should be in uniform. Hernandez said that the source should offer $20,000 to the cops because the cops would be armed such that they could kill and get away with anything. Wow. So in September, Officer Roderick Flowers was introduced to the source, who asked Officer Flowers if he was a cop, according to the criminal complaint. Officer Flowers answered, "Yeah, I don't look like one, right?" Flowers agreed to transport a load of drugs for the source and said that he had a guy he could bring who was also a cop, according to the criminal complaint. The source later met with Hernandez, officers Roderick Flowers, and Keith Edwards, who Flowers said was his partner, according to the criminal complaint. And that's where that bad boys for life mentality come in. Keith Edwards also agreed to offer protection for the source, but said he did not want to know what the source did, that his only job was protection. Now, Officer Edwards also went further. He said that he wanted to clarify to the source that he and Officer Flowers were not hitmen, and if the deal went bad, they would protect the source and not the product. He further stated that he had been involved in a shooting and protecting people is his bread and butter. No, protecting people is not your bread and butter, sir. Doing criminal activity on the side is your bread and butter. Because I'm sure that this is not the first time you all have done this. And some people may say, oh, well, they just got caught up this one time. Well, why would these two officers be on the payroll of a money launderer, Manuel Carlos Hernandez, in Davie, Florida? So protecting people is my bread and butter, and your side hustle is criminal activity. Let me continue. Now, on September 16th, Officer Flowers and Edwards met with the source, who said they were helping to transport a shipment of cocaine from Homestead, Florida to Aventura, Florida, which is about 50 miles away. The complaint said, in exchange, the cops were paid $5,000 each in advance. When the phony cocaine transportation was finished, the source told Officer Flowers and Edwards, "Welcome to the Sinaloa cartel." The two officers laughed, got in their cars, and left. Now these two officers will be returning to court to face the judge. And my thing is, fellas, was it worth it? I mean, honestly, was it worth it? Now, what really got me about this story is that Officer Roderick Flowers comes from a family of police officers. His father is still in active police, as well as his sister. All of this stuff is public information. And I'm just imagining how hurt Your father must be, I'm about to call you son. We're probably about the same age. And I'm about to say son, because this is just like how your father must be hurt, and your sister, active police officers down here in Miami-Dade. And for Keith Edwards, who just came along because, yeah, I don't want to know what's in, what's the product. I'm just here to protect the source. And, I saw these guys' social media stuff. I saw pictures of them. You got Officer Edwards. It looks like he was out at the strip club with all the ones in his hands. Everybody's stunned. And then you got Roderick Flowers doing some stuff online as well. And I'm like, all of this that you're doing online, keeping up appearances. I mean, if you guys wanted to make some extra money, I know we're in the pandemic and stuff, and some police officers, maybe they, used to do work at football games and stuff and concerts and things like that. Some at some supermarket, different events down here in South Florida. I know some police officers who did stuff like that on the side, legal stuff. So I'm sure with the pandemic, people, the little extra stuff that they used to get, it's not coming in like that because no one's really doing large gatherings. There are no concerts or big events and things like that. But still, I mean, for $20,000, fellas, y'all, you're like, your career is gone. And the feds, y'all know this. I don't need other. When the feds got you, you might as well say, I yield. Because they have everything already there. And a lot of stuff Officer Roderick Flowers and Keith Edwards did, it was just, to show off a lot. And if you all wanted to do that, I mean, on your off duty, man, y'all could have made a YouTube channel and filmed going around Miami. Officers off duty. Y'all could have made that 20,000. Man, come on, man. You all did a lot of stuff for social media. Like this video right here of Officer Roderick Flowers showing off his jewelry and his hat, just having fun. Take a look. Wow. Now look, all of the interactions were recorded with both audio and video, according to investigators. Weeks later, both men were arrested and charged with conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute cocaine. If convicted, the officers could face up to life in prison. Was it worth it? Now, I'm done with this story. Go off in the comments, say exactly what you want to say. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. It's your guy, Dawson. Peace.